Hey everybody, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. That is the YouTube Yacht Project. It is a steamboat shaped slash themed rental cabin that my wife and I are building, the first of many, maybe not necessarily boat, but we're at rental cabins we are building to build up a business. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We also do excavation work. We also work for Dirt Perfect on the side as a part-time gig. But today, this is our focus. And the main reason I'm so excited right now is we have today and tomorrow to do punch list items on this and get this thing 100% ready to pour, because in the next couple weeks, by the end of May, we're putting concrete in these walls and I can't wait. The last time you saw this project, we worked on these wheel supports. This is where the paddle wheel will go right there, and that'll support the paddle wheels. That was the last thing we did, and you can tell I never did finish this side. I just ran out of time. So just to keep things moving, we're just going to go ahead and do this for that. Moving right along. Love it. Absolutely love it. I did add a few extra pieces of bracing on this side that I've got to get on this side, and I'll walk you through what we added in there and why. Then we're going to move on to this transom window. And after we get that window in, we'll just keep working up towards the bow, which means we'll be cutting out the portholes in this video as well. I still have no idea how we're going to do that, but we've got this video to come up with a solution and try to figure it out. So that should be fun. What we added additional from the other side are supports here and here for that concrete that's going to be pushing this way. We've got to add that. I added an additional one here, an additional one here, and then we added a vertical piece here. The whole reason we didn't add one of these straps that come underneath is I've got to leave room for the brace, just like that.
Come on.
Battery's getting low. So this bracing and this bracing are now done. The next thing, we're going to get this transom window installed. Let me show you what's on the other side. On the other side of the wall, right here in this corner, will be a bathroom. Right there in that corner, full bath. We weren't initially going to put a window in right here, but we decided it'd be kind of nice since it's going to be in the corner. It'd be nice to put a window in there to let some daylight in. That way it doesn't feel like a dungeon down here. It is technically supposed to be the engine room. It is the hull of the ship. There's not supposed to be anything fancy or pretty about it, but we don't want it to feel like a dungeon. So we're going to throw a window in there for a little bit of daylight. Now, this is where we have to do that fine balance of function over theme. We've got the theme boat look going on, and although you never typically see a window in the transom right here, you shouldn't see it anyway when this is all said and done, because the paddle wheel is going to be right here. So it should kind of block that out of view. It should be just enough to let some light in, but not take away from the theme too crazy. I think it's going to be a good balance. What we've got is a treated 2x12. Kind of looks like a face, doesn't it? fancy artwork, and a treated 2x4, and I'll show you how we make our window bucks. Show you what I'm doing real quick. A lot of times when you use 2x12s or some lumber, it gets twists in it, so it doesn't always line up perfect. If you need to pull something, just put a screw in one side, and then you can take a claw hammer and you can get it to twist and pull to where you're flush. But I can't hold the hammer, the impact, and the camera at the same time, so you guys are just going to have to watch from there. Did you get the idea? We're just getting that end flushed up. Go ahead and pre-start a screw. That'll work fine. So this is going to be 24 by 48 right there. We've already talked about that. But a couple things to point out if you're going to make window bucks. One, typically we do 2x4s on the bottom. That way whenever this is in place in the wall, this is open. And if you need to get the concrete pump truck chutes down in here to fill this up in case it doesn't flow up underneath enough, you can do so. You're going to have a couple boards ready to put on there once it's full to hold the concrete in. But it's nice to have that access there. The other thing is the order of how you put these. We're going to call them joints and use that pretty loosely. But you want to think about the direction the concrete's pushing. Now on this transom window, it's not that big a deal on this part because how high it is in the wall. But if you had a regular window and you're down a little bit lower, concrete pressure is going to be pushing against this board. You put it here, it's going to be trying to compress this 2x4. If you put it up on top, we'll just use this 2x4 real quick for an example. If you set it up on here, instead of off to the side, and you run your screw up from the bottom, and you've got the concrete pressure pushing it against this way, then you're relying on the shear strength of that screw to hold that board in place and keep the concrete from kicking it out. If you put it on this, you're putting all that pressure in the compression of this 2x4, and that obviously isn't going to go anywhere. Now when you get to the top, you're at the top of the window, so you're going to have more pressure pushing down than you are this way, just because of where it's at in the wall, right? You'd be at the top of the wall. So we put that on the top, same thing. That way, majority of the weight, or most of the weight it's going to be, is trying to compress this down into the bottom where it's sitting on the ICF. If we did that same thing there, again, you're relying on that shear strength. So you just kind of want to use a little common sense there. Now, a lot of people typically, when they frame wood frame walls, traditional wood frame walls, 2x4s or 2x6 wall, they're going to do a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch extra for that rough opening. When I do ICF, I do about 3/4 to an inch extra for rough opening, and mainly because just through experience, it's a lot easier to shim out and foam around that window to get it to fit than it is to have to pull those boards out, chip out the concrete, or plane those boards down to get it to fit. I just think it's easier to shim stuff out than it is to chisel stuff out. That's just my personal preference. You do it however you please. It makes no difference to me. I'm just sharing with you how I do it. Anyway, now we got to get a hole for this to go in. I'll just find the overall length, oh, 52. Because I'm bad at math, we'll just, let's see, 52 is going to be 26. 78.5. And we're going from that center line over 26. Oh, okay. Well, we'll make it work. 26. Tape measure's not working anymore. And then we'll come back from that and go 52. There's our width. Okay. Sure. We're just gonna measure up the height of the door, or the top of the door buck. That way the top of the window and the door are the same. Pretty common. That's kind of standard. I think everybody does that. Window's the same height as the top of the door. I'll just double check that. Okay. Right there. Now, typically, you would do this before you stack the wall. You don't typically stack the wall and then come out and cut the windows in. You do it as you go. But we didn't initially plan on putting this in, like I said. We kind of did it as a last-minute addition because we wanted that sunlight in there. It's going to make things a little difficult, but it won't be too terribly bad. Not too terribly bad at all. These little angle pieces, I put it on the inside so that when I put it in there, it doesn't fall all the way through. And we slap that on there so I can kick it up and hold it in place once it's in there. Hopefully it fits. We're about to find out. We're about to find out. Okay. What size in? $54.5. Let's double check. 54.5. Love it. Get the same situation. Oh, bud. Come on. Okay. $54.5. Well, I'll take that all day. That'll look great. Thank you. I have a little bit more time left this afternoon, and we've got the full day tomorrow, obviously, but I'm going to go ahead and get this bundle of block ripped in half so it's ready to go. So these Nudura ICF block are 18 inches tall. So we made a mark at 9 inches. We'll do it on both ends. We'll rip these in half. The following morning, and I'm getting ready to take the camera up. You're going to sit on that brace and we're going to time lapse as I stage everything for what we've got cut. But since I'm already coming up here, I figured I'd go ahead and knock down these screws that are poking up through. Let me hop up here. So see these screws coming out right here. I screw up from the bottom whenever I do the walkboard, and the reason for that's pretty simple. If you screw down from the top, inevitably, wherever you spill concrete, I guarantee you it'll be right on the screw head. Every time, 100% guarantee, and you won't be able to get these screws out because it'll be filled with concrete. It's a pain in the butt. So over the years I just started just screwing these in from the bottom. And those are just breaking off. Just breaks those off, so whenever we're done, I can back it out from the bottom side, and we'll be good to go. I just figured I'd do that since I was up here. You're going there for a time lapse. So we have just a little minor problem down here. See this gap right here? On the top side of this block, on the bottom side of the block, it's pretty tight, but on the top there's a gap. Whenever we had our half block on here, I couldn't get it to interlock because obviously it doesn't line up from one course or one side to the other. I think what's causing that is I think I don't have enough up pressure on that. I think that's got a little sag in it. Show you from the bottom side. See this gap right here? We've got to try to get that closed up. So what I'm going to do, I grabbed a couple of my logging wedges. Homestead logging, not real life logging. Anyway, I grabbed a couple of my tree wedges right there. We're going to drive them under the end, see if we can get this to come up a little bit, and that'll be an experiment to see if that's what we got to do to get that closed up. If that does close it up, we'll probably just have to grab a 2x12 and drive underneath that to keep it up permanently, or well, keep it up for the pour anyway. Let's you're gonna be on this so you can see it. We'll put you right here, like right there, and then maybe right there. Well, it's kind of bouncy. You're kind of okay. Oh, I gotta get something different. Can you see it from there? I don't know. Oh. What'd it do? What did it do? Close that gap up. That's beautiful. We can get that to lock across there. Okay, so what we need to do now, I need to take some leftover scrap treated 2x12. I got some pieces over here, and I'll get those driven underneath there to keep it up for the pour. That'll work. So if it's closed up enough, should be able to tap this right in. I was trying to get it closed earlier and I broke a couple of these pieces off. Get those out of the way so it doesn't hold me up. And we'll give it a go. Oh yeah. That looks great. Okay. On to the next problem. We're gonna have several. Since we're up here on this side, I've got some 2x4s staged here. You guys probably noticed that. We're gonna go ahead and put a stiff back on this top edge. We'll go ahead and stage a couple up here too, since I've got them leaning on the wall. All right, so we're gonna go just past that other wall is. That other wall is right here. Set a screw there to hold this into the board. Can I get just? Oh, nope, I can't. Oh, I can't. I'm out of it. Whew. Easy peasy. So much for pre-starting one, that's okay. If you guys could just walk back to me, that would be a huge help. That all fit in there real great. You can really start to see, now that we have this stiff back on the outside, you can see the curve, how it curves into the stern for that paddle wheel support. Let's go a little bit further down this way. Hold on. You see that at the end? It just right towards the center. That side does the exact same thing. Paddle wheel. Come on. How cool. How cool. I'm loving this. But that all fit in there really great. No problems at all. The one thing I did want to show you, I did pull a piece of rebar up on the bottom side of that one right there. It's got rebar ties in it to hold it in place. See the rebar ties. Anyway, just a little bit of bar across that window for a lintel. And then looking at it from this side, you can see it in there. Looks really good. Looks really good. This wall will not be load bearing. The only thing it has to support is itself, really. So I just put one number 4 bar in there for that lintel. If you're wondering about the floor system, it'll be an ICF floor system. Load will be on this wall and that wall, and it'll span that with no supports in the middle. We'll have to support it when we pour, obviously, but when it's all said and done, they'll come out. It'll be an ICF floor system, so concrete and ICF from here to there, which should be pretty cool. Is there? I feel like is there something going on here. That's the one thing about working with ICF. You're always covered in foam. Just a few more things on this end, and then we're going to move up to the bow side of it. We've got to get this center section cut out. You can see towards the bottom it's already been cut out, but we're going to go ahead and cut this out. That way the concrete can flow around. We're just making our own T-form, some brackets, the stiff back over the door to the bow we go. I'm going to go ahead and put this stiff back up, actually, just to get it out of the way where we're working. Oh yeah. There's a lot of traffic in and out of my driveway today, and that's concerning because I am not expecting anybody. Oh God. Sorry. Make that my alarm clock. Achoo! There we go. Concrete can flow right around, all tied together. I've got to make a 90 rebar to go in here though. We'll do that in a little bit. All right. Here we are this way. Looks pretty good. And then this way. Looks pretty good. How do I get it so the lens is, there we go. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna double check this measurement across there. And if that all looks good, we'll start getting everything spray foamed on this end. So this is just kind of a while we're up here situation. We don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. We'll go ahead and spray foam the gaps on this end of it and get everything on the stern spray foamed. We're not ready to spray foam everything, but there's just something soothing about doing spray foaming. And I'm at a point in the day where I could use that. Anyway, let's do it. Got everything spray foamed on the outside of the stern, around the ramp. We still gotta do some end caps, but I want to move past that for right now. Looks good out here. And we've got the inside. That'll work just fine. The next thing we're going to do is see if we can't get this moved across the top. And you can tell we got a little bit of a gap up there to contend with. And what we have to figure out is what's causing that gap. Can you see that? There's a little gap there, and a gap there. We've got to get all that to close together. I'm assuming this wall is pushing out, which is pulling it away, but I'm not 100% sure. A 7-stud piece ripped in half. 7 studs gets us to that exact same point on that side, on this side, so they'll be even as we head towards the bow. That'll also allow me to lock this little guy and that piece together, and then that'll give me a better idea of exactly how big a gap we have and where we need to go to close it up. So now we've got this single block. It was that wide. You can see where that corner's taken out. That's all tied together where it needs to be, and what we're left with is this little piece over the doorway, a little 3-stud section. 1, 2, 3. And that is the gap. What happened, bud? Okay, we got to figure out where to make that gap up at. I think I can see it from here, though. We are back to my favorite thing, the ratchet strap. So, let me grab something to set you guys on. My theory is that that wall is bowed out a little bit more than what that one is, and that it's pulling the wall that way. So I've got a strap from that brace back to this brace on this side of the door, and we're going to pull it. If that theory holds true, there should be plenty of play in that bow that as it pulls, it'll kind of kick itself around and we'll get enough gain out of it. We're going to do a couple small pulls on it. That looks like a good tripod. Hopefully you can look right here and right here, and you'll be able to tell if there's any movement. We are definitely closer. So here's my 3-stud. Pretty good fit. Oh, except we're upside down. There we go. I did notice something while I was down there, though. I'll show you guys. Let me get this tapped into place, but I think now on this side this gap is closed up pretty good, but on this side there's still a half or so, and I think I can get that closed. Here's what we ended up with above the door. Not bad. That's tight. That's down to, I don't know, let's call it a heavy eighth. We've got this plywood strap tying all of it together, and then of course screw through the brace too, and then it's all tied together on the outside to that stiff back we put on earlier that runs all the way down. So we'll pop these ratchet straps. Hopefully that gap stays about the same. Let's do the little one first. Okay. Oops. Would you come out of it? Thank you. Whoa! And my hammer. Daggone it. What we got? Beautiful. Beautiful. So next step up here is continue these straps the rest of the way up the wall. Still have the top course to do on each side, but it'll be easier to do that off the walk boards. So let's set up how we're going to do the walk boards. Starting with this. I think I may add one more support across there. End up adding that middle support in there as well for a little bit more strength, and it definitely feels a lot better. And of course got that walk board on that side. And if you're wondering why we're not putting braces on the inside here, well, I'll explain that in just a little bit, but long story short, they're going to be on the outside at this portion of the wall. But I need, listen, if I was smart, I threw it up in text earlier for you guys. I need your help. I have to have your opinion on something. You know what? I gotta get the rebar in the wall first, and then let me get the rebar in real quick, and then I'll ask your opinion about something. I don't know what to do. I really don't. I'm pretty torn right now. Pretty torn right now. That's decent, huh? That'll work. So here's what I need from you guys. This is what I need help with. We're talking about portholes, and originally the idea was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 portholes up in the bow, and I really want that. I think it's going to look awesome. The problem I'm running into is how all these are cut. Now, right here, we have them cut down to single studs so we could make that radius. You guys remember that. Obviously, still some strapping to go on here, like this. But so all the way up to about there is where the single stud cuts go. And then it turns back into a solid block. But as soon as that stops, that cut starts. You see where we're going with this? And that cut is what kind of helps the wall roll out to get a little bit of a roll on the bow. Now, the problem I'm running into, well, let me just walk outside and show you. Just remember where this stops these single studs start. So we have those here. Now what we're looking at is 12-inch portholes, mainly because, well, round windows are really expensive. For some reason, circles are more expensive than squares. Anyway, a 12-inch porthole. I want it up high because of where the water line would be. And this is the problem I'm having. If I go up high, above where the hypothetical water line would be, it would be in these fellers right here. And I don't want to cut a circle in that and complicate this section anymore and have an issue with potential blowouts. I think we're already complicated enough. And I'm having a hard time convincing myself to come down the wall because at that point we're below the hypothetical water line. Now, there again, we're trying to work with that balance of function versus theme. I mean, there's already a door below the water line, right? We've got that going on. I need your opinion on what you guys would do. And if you're thinking we'll just slide it back down the wall, remember, those single studs start right here on the other side of that block. And if we cut a circle, it has to go all the way through, obviously. That's how windows work. So I can't go back into that. Again, I don't want to overcomplicate the cuts and end up with a potential blowout section. So here's the two options we have, and you can do one of two mindsets here. You can either be the person that's looking at renting this, or, you know, if you were the one building a steamboat in the middle of the woods at an ICF and trying to put portholes in it. Those are the two mindsets. Do we get rid of the portholes altogether because it would just not make any sense to be up here and we don't want to overcomplicate these cuts and end up with a place for a blowout when we have another, you know, round cut compounding our little roll there? Or do we drop it down to this course here where it would be below the water level? I don't know. What do we do? What would you do? If you were a renter, what would you prefer? If you were the person building it, what would you do? I got to know. I can't figure out what I want to do there, and I want your guys' opinion on that. I'm kind of bummed we're not going to get them in the wall today, but at least we're making progress. Let me back out here in the woods just a little bit, give you further away. They would be right on that course right there. There'd be 1, 2. The first finger circle is way too big. 1, 2. They'd be right there if I went ahead to put them in. There's the door for reference. You can see where that's at. And you can see where the arch is for the paddle wheel support. I don't know. I'm having a tough time deciding. Sometimes people say, Mike, why are you screwing shovels up to posts? Well, you gotta get, it's all about the angle. What can you guys see behind me? Does it look good? I'm sure that's good. Huh? Like that. Huh? Like that. There you go. Yep. No, no! Oh. Well, we're not getting that one back. Okay. Okay. That's okay. I carry 2 of them for a reason. There we go. And that one will go right here. Like that. I love it. And I can set this here. And no, we get cut right. Oh, right through the stud. Daggone it. That's okay. Alright, let me cut that. We'll snap it into place, then we'll hop down and do braces on the outside. Alright, now this is not going to be like a tight miter fit. Just think of spray foam as you're caulking. We're going to caulk it. Okay? Okay. Okay. we go. There we go. Love it. Oh, I think that'll work fine. This is how we're doing the braces in the bow. We're putting them on the outside. And if you follow Dirt Perfect or you've ever done ICF, you understand why. These braces, they're made for pushing the concrete. They're not made for pulling the concrete. If we put these on the inside to where they would be leaning out and it would be relying on the strength of that stake pulling out of the ground to hold it in place, we would be in trouble. On the outside like this, with the bow leaning out, the weight will sit back on that turnbuckle. If we need to push in, we can push in easily. That's what they're made for, so that's how we're going to do it. This bow, it's going to want to split open on us. That's what it wants to do. At this seam right here, with the concrete pushing against itself and both sides leaning out, it's going to want to split wide open on us. So we got to do everything in our power to make sure it doesn't do that. We got to keep that point tight together. We'll have straps coming to the center post like we do now, with some more added, and then a brace, 2 braces on each side pushing it together. And fingers crossed, that should be enough. We'll see if we can get a couple. We'll go ahead and put 3 on the outside. We've got plenty of braces. We might as well go ahead and just do 3. Better safe than sorry. We'll see if we can get some wiggled down that hole there. Anyway, you just set them up here. You set your knee there. And you spin them around. Like that. There we go, right here. Up and over like that. Nicely done. So there we go. 1, 2, 3 braces on this side. 1, 2, 3 braces on this side. Now we're still going to have to come back, and because it's got a little curve to it, you can see there's gaps in there. I'll have to come back and shim out on each block and make sure I get that filled tight so it doesn't have room to push out in that void space, if that makes sense. But I'm telling you, you know what, let's, hold on. Let's do this. Yep, there we go. Hardcore parkour, okay. That is a lot of pressure we're gonna be able to push in. I don't think we'll have any problem with this thing popping open on us. As long as we get a little bit more strapping on this front side, I think that's gonna look great. All in all, a lot done. I mean, we're down to just a handful of things that we have to do before we can pour. Foam that crack, foam that center section, straps right here the rest of the way up, foam those cracks, straps on the door, foam the door, vertical rebar, yep, like that, and yeah, end caps down there by the paddle wheel supports. We're gonna try to get concrete in these walls next Thursday. Pump truck, right, somewhere, Sean's pretty good, he'll deal with that tree just fine. Pump truck here, concrete truck's where the Subaru's sitting. I'm excited. I'm beyond excited. I got to work for Mike a couple days coming up, but after that, hopefully, we get concrete in these walls. And probably the biggest thing I want to get done before we pour is all this trash and scrap out of here. I don't want anybody tripping over everything whenever we're trying to get concrete in these walls, so we got to get that done too. I have a little bit of time left in today. It's about 5:30 right now. I got a little time left. I'll do a little bit more spray foaming. Somebody mentioned spray foam cleaner. I should point out they do make spray foam cleaner for these guns. Pop. Okay, it just pops off there, or has a handy applicator tip. That does screw on there, and you can run it through the gun to clean it. But still, I would either leave this or that screwed on there. I would never store the gun with anything off of that. I don't know, random spray foam tips. If you have any other questions about ICF, check out, I'll put some links in the description. Go back. We've done some question and answer sessions regarding this project. And there is a playlist called YouTube Yacht. It's got everything from digging the footers to where we're at now if you feel like you want to get caught up on this project. Oh, we need a brace here. things like that. We'll get it all taken care of. Like I said, next time you see us on this project, concrete in the walls, work coming up for Dirt Perfect. That's a lot of rambling. I'm pretty tired. I'm sure you guys are too. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.